So I don't feel good at all. I didn't wear my wig. I don't feel good at all. I forgot it in the car, and the car's gone. So this, I'm going to have to look for a comb and comb my hair out.
Really?
Yeah, because I have a meeting today.
And yes, we're back inside the locker room for the next 30 minutes, bringing you all the big stories for a Wednesday morning. Guess who's in the studio? Tega Tiger, the queen herself, the princess of Africa, the lady in sport, CEO, convener of LIS Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tega Tiger.
We are trying though. I have to applaud for this one. You did. You try small. You try small. Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. I didn't have a great night. I didn't. First of all, it was Blessing Okabari and the extra year added to her ban. And then it was Serena that made me sit down for 3 hours and 10 minutes and then lost. I'm just sad. But I'm happy now that I'm here in the locker room with all of you.
All right, so here's what to expect quickly. Morocco 2022, Pinnick charges Super Falcons to get 10th title. Those ones, they're trying, they're doing well. Lewis Hamilton and F1 condemn Nelson Piquet's racial abuse. We'll talk about it. And still to come here, I mean, she's mentioned already, Serena loses in Wimbledon, comeback as Nadal digs deep. Gabriel Jesus, Manchester City and Brazil forward having medical at Arsenal before £45 million move. Check to leave role as Chelsea's technical advisor. Manchester United near agreement for Frankie de Jong, and fans risk 6 months in jail for drinking outside special zones.
I said this World Cup, you go red. This World Cup, just stay in your house. I'm telling you, it will be nicer on TV.
Well, there are people who already bought tickets.
I don't know what they are going to do about those tickets, because all this jail time that they are sharing there, it's not for the righteous.
Okay, so you can be part of the show by sending messages to us on WhatsApp 0809-444-0981, Twitter Smooth981FM. Also use the hashtag LockerRoom981. Apologies. The messages came in late. That's from Freshly Pressed. I saw them, but just send in for Locker Room. We'll take your messages all, and we're streaming live on YouTube. It's Smooth981FM Lagos. Let's get it started.
And you can see my cornrows there.
Yeah, we like it, Tega.
Sometimes you forget your wig. But let's go to this.
President of the Nigerian Football Federation and FIFA Council member Amaju Melvin Pinnick has told Super Falcons of Nigeria to bulldoze their way to the 10th African title when they participate in the 12th Women Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco next month. This is where I pause to say they've tried. They've played this for, the competition has had 12 editions. We won 9.
I had 11. This is the 12th.
Oh, yeah, this is the 12th, rather. 11, we won 9. Wow.
Okay, so first of all, let me go back to the story you started with earlier this morning where you were talking about the minister. You see, I don't want to give anybody PR.
Sorry. But so, 2 million naira.
See, look, it's an age grade championship at the end of the day. So remember when you won all those. Did you ever do jets competition in primary school or secondary?
I remember.
The money wasn't big like that because again, it's age grade and it's not really about money. So I don't mind what they gave them. It's under 17.
Yes,
it's under 17. Is the PR that?
But sorry, was it 2 million each or everybody 2 million? Why did she bust out in laughter like that?
No, the way the report made it, it was 2 million for everybody. But I just want to think that it was 2 million each.
Okay.
However, it's beginning to look like they are looking for every good news to try and cover the disaster that they did with the Nigerian Basketball Federation. So we already announced that the boys won the Wafubi African competition. So congratulations to them.
Right.
We are celebrating the boys. We will not speak about the ministry. They should get your PR from somewhere else. But let's come back to this story. So now, yes, the Super Falcons won 9 of 11. Now, I know I've mentioned it here before that this tournament started in 1991. And so the Super Falcons have won 11 editions. And that's what
9?
11.
Okay,
Hold on.
Okay,
and that's what we thought it was. Then CAF comes out and says, no, the 1991 and 1994 editions were just World Cup qualifiers. So even if they were called the African Women's Championships, they were just World Cup qualifiers, which is tricky to me. I'm like, why are you eliminating history just because you have started to get women's football right? So, which is why the Super Falcons have only won 9, and this is the 12th edition. Otherwise, which means that they are officially counting from the 1998 edition, which is why it is this reduced. If not, it was 11 before. So,
Wow.
but it's a huge deal for Super Falcons, and like the president of the NFF said, Amajumel Bifini said, "You are champions. Everybody is coming for you. Everybody is going to want to match you toe to toe, even if they don't want to play football. When they see that the opponent is you, all of a sudden, all the wings come out, all the claws come out. They're going to attack aggressively. So that's why he was saying, bully your way to the title. Like basically, use your reputation, use your physicality, use everything, but just make sure that nobody takes your scalp, because that's what they're trying to do. And that's what the Super Falcons are going to have to do, because other countries have been developing their football, and they're getting there. Look at the South African league has sponsors. The South African team has a sponsor. When they're going to tournaments, they don't need to go cap in hand to the presidency. Money is ready. Infrastructure is there. So they have training facilities. Everything is available to them. Their footballers come up, and like I said, they beat the Super Falcons 2 out of the last 3 times that they met. So yes, they're smelling blood right now. Look at the Moroccan team. In fact, we are doing everything in Morocco. Even our last match in the World Cup qualifiers at the African Cup of Nations Cup qualifiers that the men played. They're like, can we be playing with Morocco all the time? Because infrastructure was beautiful. So other countries have been developing their women's football, and they're catching up to the Super Falcons.
Is there a chance for the Super Falcons at this year's tournament?
Of course, there's always a chance. If you go
winning.
If you go to yes, we are talking of winning. We are not talking of participating. They always participate. Winning is there will always be a chance for them. But the truth of the matter is, the gap that was there is not there anymore.
Any longer.
So they have to, like he said, bully their way to the title.
All right, let's talk Lewis Hamilton now, who said a cake mindsets need to change and have no place in Formula One after 3-time world champion Nelson Piquet used racially abusive language about him.
Okay, so this story came out yesterday. However, this incident happened last year in 2021 at Silverstone, and Silverstone is coming up, which is I'm sure why this thing came up. So Nelson Piquet is a former world champion from Brazil. I think he's won the world championships 3 times. So he was on a podcast and they're speaking in Portuguese. So he was on a podcast they're speaking in Portuguese, and he was trying to analyze the incident that happened between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in Silverstone. You remember that they crashed and Max Verstappen had to retire after the crash.
Yeah.
So he's explaining it. Now, this is where it is racism. So if you ask a few Brazilians or a few Portuguese speaking nations, they will tell you that the word linguino that he used, even if it's a slang for the N word, they use it amongst themselves in a friendly way, as in it's not as offensive as it is in the English translation. Here is why it was a bad word to use if you look at the context in the sentence. Because on the podcast, the interviewer asked him a question, and he says, who is at fault here? And Piquet could have said it was Lewis. Do you know what Piquet said? It was the N-word. It was the N-word. That turned, that's a fast corner, the N-word turns into that corner. Then the interviewer says, but this is almost like the Senna drive. Now you have to know that Ayrton Senna is a big deal in F1, but even a bigger deal in Brazil. He was a champion that died I think it was in Mola. So he says, but this is exactly the situation with Senna. And that time you said, Senna was right. He said, no, Senna went straight. Then he says again, but the turned into the corner. And I'm like, if you mentioned Ayrton Senna's name, why don't you just say Lewis? Why do you keep saying the N-word? So it is the context in which he was saying it. And if you listen to the tone, it was the tone also added to it. So the context was wrong, the tone was wrong. Because he mentioned Senna. And if you listen to the conversation further down, he mentioned Max Verstappen. But the only person he didn't mention his name was 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. Lewis and the N word in the Portuguese language, which one is longer to come? So he just kept he refused to use Lewis's name, and he just kept calling him that name. So he called his name on the part I listened to, it was 3 times. But if you listen further,
it's more than that. So maybe he forgot how to pronounce Lewis.
He'll be all right. So at the end, which is why I said 7-time world champion, which means that you've been pronouncing his name all the time.
I mean, it's Lewis, don't mind him.
So but teams heard about it last weekend, and they just talked about it and then moved on. So because it's now been exposed to the media, the F1 now came out with his statement and said, "Oh, Lewis is such a wonderful driver. We stand against racism." Then a few people were coming out to make statements when they're supposed to be taking action. At the end of the day, the one that was the reaction that was more upsetting to me was that F1 told Nelson Piquet that if he doesn't apologize to Lewis, that he will lose access to the paddock. I was like, you still want to give him access to the paddock after this? So where's the racism that we are fighting? All this we race as one is just PR. If Lewis Hamilton didn't really push for this thing, it's not going to happen. I mean, to think about it, when Lewis says there's a mindset, there is a mindset. Because I remember the last race, I saw a black engineer in the Mercedes garage, a new black engineer. Do you know why I knew it was a new black engineer? Because I didn't see him all of last season. That's how few the color in the garage is, or the paddock is. Usually, I don't know if there are some new white engineers. Why? Because you see a lot of them around. But when I saw color, I recognize color. There's a mindset that just makes you think F1 is not for certain people.
All right, thank you very much, Tegan. But let's keep it going now. Australian tennis player Nick has admitted he spat in the direction of a disrespectful spectator at the end of his 5-set victory over Britain's Paul Job. And in fact, when he was asked if he spat towards the person in the crowd, he said, of one of the people disrespecting me, yes, I would not be doing that to someone who was supporting me.
First of all, this is really bad behavior. Nick Kyrgios, you know that Nick Kyrgios comes in and he brings the drama. And I think what has happened is that a lot of people expect it from him. So when he does it, they're like, it's curious. And I think we need to start addressing that it's curious. He shouldn't be getting away with throwing time. No, he can't be getting away with bad behavior like this. The truth of the matter is, not everybody will support you. As long as the person doesn't go further to racially abuse you or to use abusive words on you. If the person is booing, the person paid his money to boo. He's probably supporting the other guy. They don't have to support you. They don't have to applaud you. Get over it and play your tennis. You're not here because people are going to clap for you. You're here because you decided you were good at tennis and you want to play it. That's the first one I have to address with all people like, oh, the crowd is not supporting me. Oh, the crowd, they are not here to, you support yourself first. If they come along, they come along. We need to move away from that mentality. But number 2, for him to actually admit that he spat, there should be a punishment for that. So I'm waiting to hear from ATP. This was a post-match interview.
Yeah.
Now that he's admitted it, I'm waiting to hear what the ATP will do, because this needs to be addressed. You can't, first of all, in this pandemic, especially when everybody had to do testing, and the likes of Matteo Berrettini and Marin Cilic had to withdraw based on COVID. You can't be spitting anyhow. In this pandemic, you cannot be spitting.
No, but he said the person was disrespecting him.
The person was booing. I watched that match. The person was booing. He did not say, and he didn't call him any names. He didn't. The person wanted Paul Job to win. Paul Job, the young 22-year-old from Hull City who has no parents. So his story was already beautiful. Then he was a boy from Hull playing at Wimbledon. Of course, the crowd is going to be with the Brits. Just like if you go to Australia, the crowd is with Kyrgios.
Exactly.
So he now comes in and he's spitting at the person. Not allowed. Not acceptable.
Not allowed. Let's take a break. When we do come back, we'll take some of your messages on our YouTube live stream as well as WhatsApp. Stay with us.
So the person was disrespectful, so you spat. You will spit your way out of the tournament. Nonsense and ingredients.
What kind of nonsense is that?
I see, absolute nonsense that he will not do it. The guy was not supporting you. No, can you imagine? Who are you?
Exactly like
even Jesus, they crucified him. Who are you? What are you saying?
No, but I think he should be punished for this.
He needs to be punished for this spitting. Look, Medvedev was upset one time in a tournament that people were not supporting him. He was like, all this crowd, they're disrespecting people's hard work. They don't have to support you. I keep saying, look, when you woke up in the morning and say you want to play tennis, did you play tennis because the crowd was going to support you? Like, sometimes I get people sliding into my DM to tell me some nasty things about me.
Things.
Yeah. Do you know what I do? Ignore and move on. I don't even answer. I don't have your time. Like, I didn't come to this planet for you.
Rafinha.
And I've told you, if it's European names, it's the young, not the junk. If you disgrace me in public, if it's European name, it's think Calabar people. The young.
Okay.
I would say the junk again. I will leave this show for you. We should have paused. You two people don't be listening to our conversation. You two people can
Yeah, don't worry, it's just LK and Deruba.
Stop listening to our private conversation. So yeah, he shouldn't be spitting. He can be upset that somebody was booing him, but you can't be spitting. Not acceptable.
Don't mind him.
And then he went on. He was talking a lot. He was running side commentary every 2 minutes. He used a curse word. The lineswoman now went to tell the umpire that he used the curse words. He continued talking about that lineswoman. After the point, he was still talking about the lineswoman. We're like, calm down, Nick, curious. Then he now started complaining that if the crowd is booing, that they should carry them out. Mariana was like, we cannot be taking people out if they use offensive words. If they start behaving offensively, we will escort them out. But he's not doing anything. Just play your game. At some point, the umpire was just laughing like, why am I the one babysitting this child? He now spat. Let me hear from the ATP. If they don't do something about this, he will quarrel. I don't know what we'll quarrel for because I'll be in Lagos when we'll quarrel.
Your Mohammed is back again.
Okay. Don't worry, when we.
Yeah. I don't know.
Are we back?
Yes, we're back.
This is your breakfast show on Smooth 98.1.
And yes, we're back to take some of your messages. We begin with let's begin with WhatsApp since we're here already.
Yeah.
Nero Cello sends a message across, says Rafinha is a good player, but I was scared for Saka and how Edu is using Arsenal to groom players for Brazil national team.
We'll get to that story.
Okay, and Mohammed comes in again. I think Mohammed is just in love with Tenga. Says Tenga, I know it is painful. That is why you still mentioned MBBF and ministry. But I'm now sure that this ban was targeted at the Tigress because the ministry knew they were going to disgrace the nation by protesting at the World Cup and made sure they were preventing what happened with the Kagbari in the Olympics. We can't allow them to disgrace the country intentionally. He repeated the same message.
Actually, the minister is the one that disgraced the country internationally now. The girls were never going to protest. They never even said they were going to protest. They were just going to go for their World Cup. They were not going to do anything. They were not shooting any video. They didn't even write any letter. The people that wrote letter are some members of the men's team. And guess what? The men's team are going to be competing in a World Cup qualifier in July. So at the end of the day, that ban wasn't targeted at them, Mohammed. What the minister did was wrong. Call it out as it was. End of story. Next one.
Emeka from Amuwa says, I think Blessing Okagbare owes Nigerians a huge apology. We're all humans and we all make mistakes. She made a huge mistake and should have admitted to them instead of writing like she did on Twitter, trying to play the victim. We all recall Marion Jones apologized to her country after she was banned from the sports. She had similar case with Okagbare. And lastly, to all my Arsenal brothers like Pepple, Jesus is coming. Okay, Big E sends a message, says, Tega, you need an Arsenal man to console you. You were looking sad online.
I'm telling you, Big E, that Arsenal man that will give me Ajax twins. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, please, Tega, tell your Chelsea brothers to stop going after those who want to sign. Arsenal just signed Gabriel Jesus. We were about to take Rafinha till they about sweeping him away from our hands. Shine other news, the Falcons will do well to win their 10th title. Okay. And Nick thrives when there's drama. No fault. This one is watching online.
This one is watching online. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cruz. Eshayi says, Tega, Wekobi Roll, please, which country are the Falcons playing on Friday? The Minister of Sports should visit EFCC. Okay.
I don't. I will
I
not.
don't know.
I will not condone that message. Let's go to the next story. However, I think we're starting against South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's just look at some messages in from Twitter.
No, YouTube.
YouTube, sorry. LK Aderogba says, I can't recall when last Tega sat in the locker room.
I'm drained from what Serena did to me last night. 3 hours and 10 minutes. I will not forget the time.
He says that, well, Serena put us on an emotional roller coaster yesterday. It's just like she wanted to torture us emotionally. And let's talk about Serena now, where she tasted a bitter defeat on her return to singles tennis at Wimbledon on Tuesday as Rafa Nadal overcame a huge score to progress to the second round.
All right, so let's talk about Rafa Nadal first before we get to the juicy part of the story, shall we? Rafa Nadal, tough one for Rafa Nadal. He actually started well against Serena. Serena is a decent player, but Rafa Nadal is just experienced. He knew how to play the big points, and that's what happened. But in the third set, everything started to align. The stars aligned literally for Serena. Even when his shot would hit the tape, he would go over just for good measure to show that everything was on his side. But like you expected that he was going to run out of legs. Can't be competing with a physical specimen like Nadal, regardless of all the things Nadal is suffering. He is an athlete and one of the best on the circuit, so it was always going to be tough. But Rafa Nadal overcame that one. I also talked about Matteo Berrettino having to pull out and Marin Cilic, because they tested positive for COVID. So people were now talking about Djokovic having to do a test so that we will confirm if he has COVID, because he was in contact with both players. In fact, there are pictures of him laughing and touching Matteo Berrettini before the test came out too. But speaking of the Djokovic, he also had a good one through his match. Now let's get to Serena. When I saw Serena's lineup of matches, I didn't give her any hope past the second round, because she was going to face a certain lady called Sobertomel in the second round. And that woman, if you think she's Spanish too, so you can understand. If you think Rafa Nadal is an athlete, that woman is a marathon runner. And I thought that because Serena has been out for a year, she was not going to be able to run as much. She was not going to be able to keep up with Sobertomel, which is what Tan did. Tan understood that Serena's fitness will not be match ready. And her sharpness was also not match ready, but she understood that her fitness will not be match ready. So if you watch the match yesterday, she was trying to make Serena run from side to side, from front to back, because she was like, you've been out for a year.
Exactly.
And you haven't played any warm-up matches. There is no way.
Now, being out for a year, of course, did it affect her?
Of course, yes. Being out for, do you know what it is? You've not played for a year. You're not come and play people have been playing every week.
And then they're not making you run up and down.
Yes, and exactly. So to test that fitness, she knew, which is why that was Tan's part. But Serena is such a champion that even if her legs were almost giving out, she stayed in it. But there was something that was also questionable if you watch the match. Her match sharpness. There were shots that, if it was Serena before, after she has forced Tan out wide, she will step in and end the point. She was hesitant on those points. Those things come with time on the court, and she hasn't had that time on the court. So she was always a bit hesitant, second guessing her shots, and that was also part of the problem. And then sometimes hitting long on the shot. Again, all the mistakes you saw were things that will happen if you don't have enough time on the court. But because Serena is Serena, everybody expected her to overcome it. Unfortunately for them, Harmonita said, no, today I'm going to play my match. And she played brilliantly. So if you ask me, Serena just needs more time on the court, and she'll be back to the way she was. She served for the set, didn't take convert. No. She had a lead in the tie break, didn't take advantage of it. So you look at it and say, yes, some of you say, yes, she threw away the match, but I think at the end of the day, it came down to just match sharpness. She'll be fine.
BBC reports that she's unsure of her, Wimbledon future, but she wants more Grand Slams.
She's 40. She can't play well forever. So
All right, let's keep it going. More stories inside the locker room. But remember, you can send your messages to 009 on WhatsApp, on Twitter, Smooth981FM. We're streaming live on YouTube, Smooth981FM Lagos. You can leave a comment on the live stream. And let's talk Manchester City. And I mean, Gabriel Jesus is having a medical at Arsenal before a £45 million move from Man City.
All right, this guy is Portuguese, so Jesus is good. Sorry, he's Brazilian. They speak Portuguese, so Jesus is good. But yes, Arsenal has done something. They found a good replacement and a seasoned Premier League striker for the exiting Alexander Lacazette and the exited Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because they needed to find a striker this season, considering that Lacazette was leaving and Aubameyang had already left. Edin Ketia, that they extended his contract, is not the kind of player that you will build your team on. He's a good squad player, but is he the guy to lead the line if you are competing in the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Premiership, especially if you are vying for the top four? Not exactly. So they got in a replacement, and Gabriel Jesus had to take this one. I mean, they brought in Erling Haaland to Manchester City. He wasn't already getting game time without Erling Haaland. They now brought in Haaland. He was not even going to see bench at this point in time. So the guy made the right decision. So good deal for all sides. For Rafinha though, some guy was bragging that his uncle was part of the deal and Rafinha was taking his medical at Arsenal. Ding dong! Chelsea is just down the street. Chelsea just swooped into this deal. Now we are hearing that Chelsea will be more likely to sign him. Number one, Todd Bowley will probably give the money that Leeds United are asking for. And number two, I'm hearing that Rafinha's agent is Deco, a former Chelsea player. I'm sorry, he's going to sign the deal that is best for his client's pocket. And that is looking like Chelsea right now. But we don't know the news yet. Let's wait to hear. Well, let's wait to confirm what happened.
All right, and former Chelsea goalkeeper Peter Cech will step down from his role as technical and performance advisor at the end of June. The club said on Monday that the latest staff to leave the Stamford Bridge, following the takeover by Todd Bowley.
Yes, so it's same thing that happens. New owners, new management coming. Marina Granovskaya is already leaving at the end of the transfer window. Petr Cech is also leaving. We're waiting to see who their replacements were. But yes, power has clearly changed hands and new people are coming in. I think even when the owners wanted to, were doing the buys, the takeover, they really wanted Marina Granovskaya to stay, which is why I am guessing that she's going to leave after the transfer window. They're like, let's just use your brain small. Then when this transfer window is over, you can go. but yeah, she's staying and they're changing her. So wait to see who Todd Bowley would announce. We also hear that they're discussing with Raheem Sterling. So Chelsea, people are just entering the market to just be buying all the players.
Is that not what they always do? But let's see if we can take these two stories.
We can't take these two stories. Let's just take the World Cup story.
Okay, let's talk about World Cup.
Again, I came here to say if you are going to the World Cup, just watch your football and go home. Well, I will say it again for good measure, because even the police rep that was speaking to this media house that did this interview said he wonders how the country is going to discuss because of he particularly mentioned the Brits when it came to drinking around the outside the designated area. Yes, Shopper's cousins. He actually came for them. He said the country may have to be negotiating the release of a lot of Brits. And that's because there is a prison sentence. They're not going to deport you for drinking. They will first imprison you for 6 months for drinking outside the designated area, because they have said it. Their country is an Islamic country. You have to keep to their values and their statutes. So again, I urge you, perhaps it may be better for you to sit in front of your TV and just watch this World Cup, because this is only prison sentences they are dashing out there. Do not fornicate, do not commit adultery, do not drink outside designated area.
These are some of the existing laws even for tourists, even in the UAE.
That's what I'm saying. So if you are going to the UAE, most in general, some of us are going to shop and then come back. It's not when you want to live your life. It's not there you go. You just that place is it's not the place.
Sad. 6 months in jail if they catch you drinking outside. But hey, Femi sends a message, says gutted for Serena Williams, but it looks like the end of an era to a legend of the game. And Tosin says, please make the extra year ban for cabaret make sense as it affects the women team at the World Championship.
Okay, so what happened was she competed at the 4x100 meters qualifiers that year, and she avoided taking the test, the compulsory test. They looked for her after she ran the race, but she didn't take the test. Only for them to find out that her sample that she took before she came to Nigeria to compete in that particular race was the sample that they found the banned substance in, which means automatically that result is voided. Now, because that result was voided, that time was also erased. Now, the time Nigeria set is not top 16. So it's not like they've been banned. It's just that the last time Nigeria had, if you take out the time that Blessing ran in with the tainted samples, then it drops Nigeria further down the pecking order, which means that they will not be able to, they don't qualify to even qualify. That's
okay,
what it is.
Last one I'll take from Big E. I'm happy we're getting it right this time in the transfer window. I want to see more from Arteta. Technically, to manage the players, and Jesus will be a good number 9 for Arsenal and for the World Cup. I feel it's better Nigeria is not playing in this World Cup. Tega, say we get 7 heads sometimes.
They are blood.
All right, that's about it. Thank you very much. You can catch Tega on Twitter at Tega Supreme and at Smooth 981 FM and Victor Pepple as well. We'll bring you Lagos Talks at 9 o'clock today. Good morning.
You didn't talk about LIS, so see your small eye.
Sorry.